Hello and welcome to the Homeschool Institute of Sciences Science, Knowledge, and Know-How Video Content Library. I'm your host, Will Boyd, and this week's course is on Do Plants Hibernate? Some of you are probably wondering, is Mr. Boyd losing it? A little here. Of course plants don't hibernate. Well, let's think about it. What is our definition of hibernation? Our definition of hibernation, if you remember, is reduction of metabolism and body temperature for an extended period of time during the winter months. Do plants do that? Well, what do you think? Look outside. Take a look outside. I can see out here, I can see a maple tree out my window. It doesn't have leaves anymore. Its branches are collecting snow. And so these leaves that were so beautiful and big and full and green in the summertime are now gone. And that is in part because the maple tree needs to retain nutrients for the winter to survive, because it's not going to be able to keep those leaves functioning during cold weather. It'll lose too much water and they'll freeze. And so it sheds them instead, keeping the nutrients inside the trunk and branches to store for the winter months. And so because of that, this maple tree, like all other deciduous trees, lose the ability to photosynthesize in the winter. Remember, photosynthesis is the process of a tree using, or a plant, a green plant, using the sun's energy plus carbon dioxide to create sugar and oxygen. And the oxygen it respires, gives to us to breathe, and the sugar it keeps to help it grow. And so this is a hibernation of sorts. Trees go into dormancy. Deciduous trees, it's obvious that they're in dormancy in the winter when they lose their leaves. What about coniferous trees or conifers? Those are the cone-bearing trees, the trees that have needles, the hemlocks, the firs, the pines. These trees also go into a state of reduced metabolism. They keep photosynthesizing, not as much. During a thaw or during a sunny day in the winter, they will photosynthesize some. This also means that they need more water than most deciduous trees need in the winter. And thankfully, because the snow on the ground insulates the soil, many of these trees do continue to suck up water into their trunks, into their stems and branches during the winter months. We do know that the temperature of the tree is important. Trees don't have the ability to regulate their own temperature like animals do. They are not ectothermic or endothermic. They have no circulatory system and no blood to pump around their innards, I guess you could say. They do have a system of tubes, xylem and phloem, that pump liquid nutrients and more thicker food-like nutrients throughout their body. But they have no way to really keep the inside of the tree warm. And so if temperatures get too cold, trees will die. And all trees have a killing temperature, below which their cells will freeze and rupture, and that tree will die. So yes, trees hibernate to an extent. We use a different word. We call it dormancy, winter dormancy. And so you will be learning about winter adaptations of trees, winter ecology of plants during this course. You also have some fun projects, learning about collecting water, how to collect water in the winter, maybe on a winter survival trip, or maybe for a greenhouse. You can actually collect water in the winter using the sun's energy. You also learn how to identify deciduous trees and coniferous trees in the winter, which can be challenging. It's hard to identify a maple tree if you don't know a maple tree well, or if you're only relying on its leaves. Some other fun projects this week will be how to care for indoor plants in the wintertime, as well as outdoor plants. There are some extra things you can do to help those outdoor plants overwinter or survive well. We hope you enjoy this week's course, Do Plants Hibernate?